Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa. Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama, right here in downtown Northport. How are you doing today? How are you doing on this wonderful Monday, November 27th? It's another victory Monday for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we are going to talk about it. What a day, what a weekend it was in Tuscaloosa. This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. We're a proud part of the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network, along with Blue Collar Unplugged. We encourage you to go follow our friends, Blue Collar Unplugged, in all the same places. Send them a like, comment, question, query, and complaint as well. Subscribe to Blue Collar Unplugged. They're bringing you all things Alabama basketball related. What a weekend it was. Oh my gosh. Crazy. Absolutely insane weekend. All right, let's get things out of the way. All right, what are we going to do today first? We're obviously going to talk about the Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn. Alabama defeating Auburn 27-24. Absolutely insane. No reason that the game should have been that close. However, Joe Gaither, you got your prediction wrong. My prediction on Friday was 49-21. And okay, there were signs in the game that it should have gone that way, but the Auburn voodoo, the Auburn magic, the Auburn weirdness, oh my gosh, was at play, which I do not believe in. Oh, it's time. I might be on the verge of changing my mind after what happened on Saturday. Unbelievable. Don't forget the 10-year anniversary of the kick six. Alabama goes down and really probably should have lost again to Auburn, to an undermanned, under-talented team. And you got to give Hugh Freeze a lot of credit. Hugh Freeze and them boys looked like a completely different team than the team that lost to New Mexico State the week earlier in the same building. They wanted to make their season viable. They wanted to make their season successful, and they were almost on track to do so. Okay, look, there's a lot to get into with this game. It was 3.5 hours. I've watched it maybe 3 times since it happened on Saturday, trying to unpack where the game turned, how the game turned, what was different in the game. Like, it was insane. All right, first off, the game started off absolutely perfect for Alabama. Alabama came out, they got a big old 3-and-out for Auburn, and then marched straight down the field to take a 7-0 lead. Everybody's going to want to talk about 4th and 31, as you should, absolutely, and we are definitely here to be thankful for 4th and 31. But on that very first drive to take a 7-0 lead, our man Jalen Milroe finds Malik Benson for a 3rd and 17 conversion over the middle of the field, where he hung in the pocket, and Malik Benson was coming on a drag route from the backside, and he worked through his progressions and found him. And so the game started exactly. So it was perfect for Alabama. One drive, 3-and-out. Next drive, march down the field, 70 yards down the field, 7-0. Big. You've taken the lead. You've taken the air out of Jordan-Hare Stadium. And then what happens next? The kickoff ensues. The Auburn man gets face masked. All right, and the referees played such a huge part in this game, and I hate referee talk, but the officials played a massive part in this ball game, huge part in this ball game, and it started right here at the start of the second Auburn drive. They get the kick return, they get face masked, it gets no call, it gets put as a block in the back, and people are booing and losing their brains at a face mask call. All right, well, one, the block in the back did happen. Let's just say the face mask call was going to get called, then you would have had both penalties negate one another. You would have both penalties negate one another, and Auburn would have started their drive on the 10-yard line. But they very clearly missed the call. Auburn started its next drive on like the 4-yard line. And so what happened? You're booing. The Auburn faithful are going crazy, and the refs are then rattled. From right then, the rest of their game was absolutely horrible, both for Alabama and against Alabama. I'm not going to sit here and deny that they may miss some calls in Alabama's favor. They missed some calls in Auburn's favor as well. The refs were absolutely horrid from this point on. And so what happens? All right, so they're feeling the heat. They're feeling the heat. Alabama gets another 3 and out, big stop, and the game is continuing to go as perfectly as can be. They end up going, getting through their next drive. Alabama's got the ball on the next drive, and you're thinking, okay, you score here, you go up 14-0, and things are rolling. Everything is going as planned. Well, what happens? 4th and 1, you call an end around to Kendrick Law. Kendrick Law bust a 41-yard touchdown run. Oh, gets called back by a C.J. Dupree holding call. Was it holding? They only showed it a couple times on the television copy. Hard to say, but no matter what is easy to say is that the officials were feeling the heat. They're feeling like, we got to have a makeup call right here. We got to have a makeup call and kind of give one back to Auburn. And so thus you get the touchdown off the board, you punt, and from there on, you are in kind of a bit of a ball game. You're in kind of a bit of a ball game where Hugh Freeze goes into the game. Everything that we said last week that Auburn can't throw their intermediate to deep passing game is non-existent. What did they hit? They hit a touchdown on busted coverages where, okay, anybody could hit basically Peyton Thorne was trying to hit the broadside of a barn for one of his touchdown passes. It was wide open. But most of the game, Auburn was not able to throw the ball deep. It was not able to throw the ball really intermediate to deep. And it was basically, let's go misdirection here. Let's go smoke and mirrors there. Let's mix up the running game. Let's mix up Jarquez Hunter and the running game throughout the entire game. And you got to give Hugh Freeze a lot of credit for keeping Alabama's defense off balance. They kept Alabama's defense off balance throughout most of the day. Jarquez Hunter with 93 yards. Damari Alston with 85 yards. Peyton Thorne, he put his body on the line for Auburn with 57 yards rushing. And Javarius Johnson with 12 yards, the 12-yard touchdown end around as well. Javarius Johnson playing a huge part in this game. Auburn able to get him free for that end around and as well on the touchdown pass that I described earlier. 4 receptions, 76 yards, and the 37-yard touchdown pass where he broke wide open right on Malachi Moore. Really, Hugh Freeze outcoached, for about 30, it's a 60-minute game, outcoached Alabama for about 48 minutes in the game, I thought. Jarquez Hunter played a pivotal game. Basically, here we are. We're following the timeline of the game. You're 7-0. You got your touchdown called off the board that would have taken you to 14-0. You've punted it back, and thus Auburn gets in the game. They get in the game with a pretty nice little drive behind Jarquez Hunter. Every time that Auburn really scored the first couple drives, it was all running plays. The Alston play, the Jarquez Hunter play, literally they're running the football. And Coach Saban talked about it during the game, and he talked about it after the game. Bad run fits throughout the entire game from both Tresman Marshall and Deontay Lawson. I thought that Jihad Campbell played a pretty good game when he was in there. Now, like I said, I've watched this about 3 times now since we're having this conversation. I feel good about saying that Tresman Marshall was very rusty in this game, and his eyes were not good. Neither was Deontay Lawson's, and I do love you, Deontay Lawson. I know that what you bring to this team is invaluable, but the two guys together had a bit of a poor football game. Their run fits were not very good. And whether that is the Auburn running game, whether that is the Hugh Freeze design, whether that is the Hugh Freeze ability, Hugh's ability to mix things up in the running game and to mix things up in play calling, whether you're going to go play 1, play 5, play 1, play 5, play 1, play 7, play 1, play 5, play 1, play 9, basically mixing things up so quickly and giving you so many different things to look at that it does throw you off. Whatever it was, Deontay Lawson and Tresman Marshall had a bit of a not-so-good game, and it ended up costing Alabama throughout the entire ball game. And really, it allowed Auburn just to stay in the game. They go 5 plays all the way down the field running the football. Jarquez Hunter, 11 yards. Jarquez Hunter, 42 yards. Damari Alston, 9 yards. Damari Alston, 2 yards. Damari Alston, 4-yard touchdown. Boom. Their next touchdown to take the lead was basically all rushing again. Damari Alston, 8-yard run. Damari Alston, 56-yard run. And then Javarius Johnson, 12-yard run for a touchdown off that end around. And Auburn is up 14-10. You had some major problems in this game for Alabama from the interior linebacker position, and you had some major problems in this game offensively finishing in the red zone. Whether it was Tommy Rees not feeling comfortable with the call, kind of getting junked up. The running game did get a little junked up in the red zone for the Alabama offense. Whatever the case may be, those issues permeated through the entire game and thus put Alabama in the position that it is. You remember back last Thursday, I was talking about keys to the game to defeat Auburn, and I ended up with my prediction at 49-21. I thought Alabama's ability to slow down the run game, Alabama's ability to get them into third and long and third and medium and positions would basically junk up their offense and keep them from being able to stay in the game. Alabama, you have the missed field goal for Will Reichert. You get down and you kick two field goals in the red zone at the end. Let's see how many. Where's my drive chart right there? Thank you. Yeah, your field goal in the early part of the half, Will Reichert from 32 yards. I mean, you put Will Reichert in a great position to be the NCAA all-time leading points getter, and he will certainly get that this weekend against Georgia because of, you're kicking two field goals in the second and third quarter when you're down in the red zone. You're missing field goals as well. And I don't know what the heck happened to you, Will Reichert, but in the last 2.5 games, you've missed 3 field goals. Cornelius Bennett chiming in on the Facebook side. It looks like we took a few steps back. I wonder if that's the case, Cornelius, or if it really is Auburn. Okay, we're just not going to prepare for New Mexico State at all, and we are just going to get ready for this Alabama game. If we can beat Alabama, we will save our season. Everyone will stop talking about, Hugh Freeze and XYZ, get off his back a little bit. I wonder if that was the case. But really, I just refuse to believe a team doesn't prepare week in and week out. I think that New Mexico State really beat the brakes off them. But, okay, flip to the other side of the ball. Alabama offensively. The first couple of drives went really well. You went straight down the field, you scored. You went down the field and scored, had the touchdown call back, because of penalty. Then you have problems in the red zone. Auburn did a good job dropping back into zone coverages and spying Jalen Milroe. I mean, Jalen Milroe ended up having another great football game. Another 100-yard rushing performance. Yeah, 107 yards rushing on the ground, 259 yards passing. Obviously, the touchdown pass to Jermaine Burton at the end of the first half for 68 yards, and then the 31-yard touchdown pass to Isaiah Bond as well. The issue offensively, in my opinion, was you settle for a field goal coming out of the first drive in the third quarter, and that was, Isaiah Bond had a chance to make a play in the end zone. Really, a couple of times where you're getting stopped for field goals, it's Malik Benson getting a ball, and he's got a man draped on his back, and it's Isaiah Bond getting a ball. He's got a man draped on his back and can't make a play one-on-one, and thus you end up kicking. The wide receivers didn't have that great of a game. Respect. Obviously, the play for Isaiah Bond will live on forever and ever and ever, as it should. It was absolutely absurd. But the wide receivers didn't have that strong of a game, in my opinion. And yeah, Amari Niblack, he did have the catch on the sidelines that was beautiful. But outside of that, Amari Niblack didn't really get in the game. The passing game really struggled to get going outside of a couple of these big-time plays. And so, yes, to Cornelius's point, does it look like we took a little step back? The consistency does look like you took a little step back, and whether it was Tommy Rees lacking the patience that he showed against LSU and wanting to just throw the football through the air, or whether it was Auburn, credit them. I mean, there was literally their Super Bowl. They're probably going to end up going to the Birmingham Bowl or the Independence Bowl, some Shreveport, not terrible trip. This was their big game. Credit them. Whether it was Auburn slowing down the running game a little bit. I mean, look, when Alabama lined up to run the football, more often than not, they were ripping off chunk plays. They're ripping off good plays. I mean, like I said, Milroe already with 107. You had McClellan with 66. Roy Dell with his 30 and the touchdown as well. As a team, 44 carries, 192 yards, averaging 4 yards a carry. And that does include, a sack or two. So, look, it was a good day. You just got junked up in the red zone. Settled for field goals, and thus let Auburn stay in the football game. I mean, Auburn's handful of touchdowns. Look, it was the Peyton Thorne, the touchdown pass over to Javarius Johnson, the end around to Javarius Johnson, and the rush for Damari Alston. It's not like they scored a whole ton of points. 24 points is not like, they're getting it up on the offensive end. I know everybody's used to, okay, we hold teams to 17, we hold teams to 10, but Auburn only scored 3 touchdowns. It wasn't like they were it was those couple of plays, those couple of drives kept them into the game. Alabama, you should have put them away. You kicked 2 field goals. There's 2 touchdowns. There's 14 points. You missed another field goal that could have been turned into a touchdown. There's 21 points. You take off these 6 points. You give us 21. You put up you trade all the field goals for touchdowns. They're 21 and 21 is 42, 24. How much better would you have felt with a 42-24 victory down on the Plains? I know you'd feel a whole lot better. My man Cornelius Billups chiming in again. The beginning of that game, Auburn was scared. We did not take advantage. Instead, we sleptwalked into giving them hope, and it showed as the game went on. That's exactly right. I mean, really, you took the heart out of them right from the very beginning, and it was essentially that third drive where, okay, you've stopped them 3 and out. You've gone straight down and scored scored a touchdown to go 7-0. You stopped them 3 and out again. You scored. Oh, but the officials took the touchdown off the board with a penalty. Okay, fine. You're in the crux of the moment. The game's still in the balance. Things are going your way. But then you fail several times fitting the run, Tresman Marshall particularly, on that third drive. And boom, Auburn scores a touchdown. And from literally no offensive success, no real offensive success, they turn 5 plays into a tie ball game. It turned 5 plays into a tie ball game, and it kind of became, okay, the tilt is on. We'll see how it goes from here. And Auburn, give them credit. I mean, they did do the things they needed to do in the red zone to slow down the Alabama offense. Well, had those drives gone from field goals to touchdowns, this close game that we're all celebrating would not be near as close. Yeah, I was wrong. I called 49-21 on the Friday program, on the Thursday program. Oh, my gosh, but goodness gracious, these things are going to have to be cleaned up going forward into the Alabama and Georgia SEC championship game this weekend. But my gosh, the officials, I don't like to get onto the officials. All right, we've already talked about the missed face mask. You give them credit. Okay, you should have given Auburn the face mask. Look, Jermaine Burton on the sidelines, was that a catch? It wasn't a catch. It was a catch. It wasn't a catch. Is he inbounds? Like, oh my God. Maybe it's my crimson-colored glasses, but that sure looked like he was inbounds. I know that not all of us are Gary Danielson and Brad Nessler fans, but Brad and Gary, and even even the official that's in the booth, Gene Steratore, said that it looks like a catch to me. It looks like he's inbounds. All right, I know that the Alabama defenders looked like they jumped off sides, but I also know that Auburn had 3 players in motion on the same play. Okay, sure, it didn't end up being that big of a deal, but Auburn did get a field goal out of that game, out of that drive, to stretch the lead from 1 point to 4 points. You got to get these things right. When you got 3 guys in motion, I know offsides happens, that becomes a no play. That becomes kind of a penalty on you, a penalty on me, offsetting penalties. Okay, people crying about the Isaiah Bond. Was Isaiah Bond pushing off in the end? All right, a little bit. I can see that argument, certainly. Do I believe that it was any more than the normal hand fighting that goes on? No, I don't. And do I believe that the officials are going to make that call in that situation? No, I don't. But the thing is, the officials put themselves in bad positions all day long by missing calls, by just poor performance by the officials. And once again, a Jason Autry led crew creates controversy that doesn't need to be there, doesn't need to be really at play. And so, come on, SEC. Look, I know Alabama wins, and everybody's happy about Alabama wins and roll tide. That's great. Let's go to the SEC championship game and have a much better performance. The issue is, you don't want to sit here. From my perspective, I don't want to sit here and hear all the Auburn fans crying about a face mask and crying about advantages, crying about a pass interference, and crying about penalties. Look, I don't want to hear that from the losing side. I didn't want to hear it with Tennessee, 5 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. I didn't want to hear it last year from the Alabama side talking about the Tennessee game. And yeah, the Alabama side did get it tough in last year's Tennessee game. I do agree with that. But I hate the post-game, oh my gosh, my side lost. We're going to cry about the officials. I hate that, but I also have to be objective and acknowledge they had a bad game. Yeah, my team benefited from certain calls, but they had a bad game. They had a bad game, and it leaves a sour taste, and it leaves a black cloud over the rivalry. Okay, you think about the Seth McLaughlin snap. Oh, man. Oh, he hasn't had a bad snap in games on games on games. But boom, right in the crucial moment, second and goal from the 2-yard line, from the 3-yard line. Boom, bad snap. Right through Milroe's legs, and people are saying now that an Auburn safety, and you can see it on film, an Auburn safety walks up to kind of the linebacker level, that second level of the defense, and gives a clap. And whether you think that clap was enough of a clap to make Seth McLaughlin snap the ball before he was ready, whether Seth McLaughlin didn't know that clap was an Auburn defender instead of a Jalen Milroe clap, and thus he snapped it before Milroe was ready. Oh, we all know that's simulation. We all know that call got called against Tennessee. Simulation. That's an offsides. Okay. The officials had a bad game. They had a bad game on both sides. They called both sides and put really both teams behind the 8 ball. And that's very disappointing. Very disappointing for what is, sure, Auburn was bad, and they came into the game as not a good football team. But you at least need to give the guys a proper chance. Give the underdog a proper chance. Give the game a proper chance by officiating it at a much higher level. And I think I really do believe the conference office needs to demand better from the officials. All right, so we talked about Auburn's running game and the bad running fit. We talked about the officials. We talked a little bit about the big conversions. Everybody's going to talk about fourth and 31, and they should, absolutely. But I want to talk about really the 3rd and 17 on the first drive. Look, if you don't get a touchdown on that first drive, look, the game's a lot different. Maybe Alabama still wins. Absolutely, they might. But the game's a lot different regardless. It's huge. Jalen Milroe, I know people were sitting here talking about, he can't read a defense. I don't think that's true. I think that he can read a defense, and he doesn't have confidence in all the throws. I don't think he has confidence in, I can make this throw or that throw. But I think it's in a good way. I think Jalen Milroe knows and understands his abilities, and thus really has done has really taken a huge undertaking in protecting the football. I mean, Jalen Milroe, no turnovers against Auburn, and that's a huge thing. Yeah, no turnovers against LSU. That's a huge thing. Yeah, you turned the ball over twice against Tennessee. Both of them. One was kind of on a 50-50 play in the end zone to Jermaine Burton, and then the other you got strip sacked. And you shouldn't get strip sacked, but I think Jalen Milroe has taken it upon himself to really try to protect the football, and he does that again against Auburn, protecting the football, not always throwing it when maybe he should, not always wanting to take the chance throwing it into traffic. He makes a lot of throws on the outside, makes a lot of throws to the edges of the field. And I really think that he has shown great ability throughout the season growing as a quarterback. And it really has been such a joy to watch somebody go from, shaky performance. All right, you go out against MTSU and you smack them in the face. And, of course, it's MTSU, so why do you care? And then Texas comes out and really puts you on your butt, gives you a big old serving of humble pie. And Coach Saban doubles down on the humble pie by benching you for the USF game. And then he goes through and build the confidence back. And then obviously you work with Tommy Rees and you grow with the offense. The offense changes. I think that really, from the Alabama perspective, no, Jalen Milroe is not going to win the Heisman. He walks off the field saying, give me that bleeping Heisman. I'm that mother bleeper. Give me that bleeping Heisman. Look, it's an emotional moment. He's apologized for it today. I don't think you should apologize for it. He basically said, the camera caught me in an emotional moment. Look, you're not going to win the Heisman, Jalen Milroe, and that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and say you should be voted to win the Heisman. but you've had a hell of a season. Your improvement this year has been absolutely amazing to write about and amazing to watch. Should you be in consideration for the Heisman? Maybe so. Maybe so. You are one of the most dynamic athletes in the country playing quarterback for a top 8 football team in the nation. I think you should be considered for it, but you're not going to win it. Look, your improvement, Jalen Milroe, has been absolutely fun to watch. And so don't apologize today and say, oh, I really am focused on my team. The cameras caught me in an emotional moment. That was just pure emotion. Look, embrace it. That's fine. That's what college football is all about. The 5 minutes after a huge win, look, you made that 4th and 31 throw to Isaiah Bond, throwing it into a mother bleeping keyhole, throwing it into a bucket from 30 yards away. And you got to think about it. It wasn't exactly 31 yards because you throw it through the back of the end zone. That's an extra 10 yards. So boom, you're at 41 yards. And you throw it, you drop back into the pocket at 4 or 5 yards. Yeah, you're only 3 or 4 or 5 yards back because Auburn stupidly only rushes 2 rushers. So there's another 3, 4, 5 yards. So it's not 31 yards. It's 41 yards plus 3 or 4. It's 45-yard throw. And last time I checked, the field's only 100 yards. So it's basically a half of the football field throw. A half the field throw to the only place that your guy can make the play, into the corner of the end zone. And I'm sorry, Isaiah Bond, he's great. He's been a really good receiver for Alabama this year, and he's had a really good year. But Isaiah Bond's not like 6'6". He's not like 6'3". Isaiah Bond is still rocking at that 5'11", that's 6 foot. He is not a huge target to hit, but body control, put it in the exact position for Isaiah Bond to make a play, and thus history is made. And so, yeah, show some emotion coming off the sideline, Jalen Milroe. Show some emotion. Tell the voters to vote for you. Yeah, give us that Heisman moment on TV. What happens? What happens if Jalen Milroe goes out and puts up 4, 5, 6 touchdowns this weekend against Georgia? Would he be in the Heisman conversation then? Absolutely, he would be. No. Will he do that? No one knows. We don't know. We're 5 days away from the SEC championship game, and so it's going to be a minute, and I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to score that many. Georgia's defense is very good. But no, feel the emotion. Enjoy the Iron Bowl. You just stole victory from the jaws of defeat. You silenced the crowd of 85,000 people that had been going absolutely insane for the last 3 hours of their life, thinking they were about to pull off one of the biggest upsets in college football that year. So what's better? We contend. From a neutral perspective, what's better? What was a better game? Was the kick six a better game? 10 years earlier, was the kick six a better game? What was better? Was it better 2 years ago? Bryce Young goes down the field in 90 seconds, goes 90 yards in 90 seconds, and gets Alabama into 4 overtime victory. What's better? It seems like every year you go down to Jordan-Hare. They showed the graphic over the last 11 years. Auburn was 3-2. Now they're 3-3. It's 3-3 in Jordan-Hare Stadium, and they were +3 on the point differential. Now they are even. Alabama and Auburn are 3-3 in Jordan-Hare Stadium, and the point differential is exactly the same. What is it about Jordan-Hare? I mean, they come up to Bryant-Denny Stadium every year and get their butt kicked. Every other year and get their butt kicked. The margin of victory is double digits. What is it? Is it the Auburn voodoo? Is it the Auburn magic? I don't believe in it. I never have really believed in it, even with the kick six. Coach Saban talking about the better team usually wins the game, and talked about how often Alabama had the ball in the red zone and didn't score, not even field goals in the kick six. Coach Saban talking again Saturday after the game, that the better team once again won the game, even though Alabama hurt itself with several different errors. I mean, Alabama had the ball, moved the football much better than Auburn did. Like we said earlier in the program, Auburn only the 3 drives for the 3 touchdowns. Auburn 337 total yards, Alabama 451. That's basically another football field's worth of total yards. Alabama holding Auburn under 100 passing yards, 93 passing yards. I mean, come on, you hold a team under 100 passing yards, you should win that football game. Auburn, 4 of 12 from third down. Yeah, Alabama wasn't much better. 6 of 16. Alabama going 2 of 2 from fourth down. Obviously, the fourth and 31 getting the most attention. But the fourth and one was equally as important on that same drive. On that same drive. And now I love what Alabama has done out of the tush push formation. Alabama has implemented the same tush push formation that everybody in pro football has stolen from the Philadelphia Eagles. And who cares about stealing concepts? That's what great. That's what football does. Y'all remember the Wildcat gets stolen. Good teams innovate concepts and people start taking from it. What is Alabama taking from it? Well, Alabama has their monstrous quarterback, Jalen Milroe, under center in the tush-push formation. They've got their man, Roydell Williams, in the backfield. They've got Jason McClellan, and they got Robbie Ouz next to him. So you got the kind of diamond set. You've all seen the Eagles run it, and you probably were watching the Iron Bowl if you're listening to this program on the BamaCentral Broadcasting Network. So you're in this kind of a diamond set, and everyone is expecting snap and push. Snap and rugby scrum. All right, for the second time in 3 weeks, we have seen the tush-push formation. The tush-push formation results in not a tush-push. The first time was against LSU, and you saw it was a Roydell Williams end-around type run that did get converted for first down. And this week, against the Auburn Tigers, you're loaded up in the tush-push formation again, and instead of snap and tush-push, it was snap and identify the unbalanced side. Excuse me. Pitch it back to Roydell Williams. Let Robbie Ouz decleat a player on the edge, and boom, Roydell Williams gets the first down. I love the fact that now you have it on film a couple of different times. You want to load up and stop Jalen Milroe? I mean, he is only 6 foot, 6'3", 220, 230. That's a point of contention. He said that he was not 220 today on the SEC Players teleconference call. So he's a big old boy anyways. He's hard to stop anyways. You want to load up in the A-gaps? You want to load up in the A-gaps and stop the tush-push? Well, we will raise you a Kendrick Law. We'll raise you a Roydell Williams, a Jace McClellan, get them out onto the edge with big old Robbie Ouz road grading, bulldozing in front of you. Look, I think that Tommy Rees has taken this offense, molded the offense into something that's very, very viable. What happened on Saturday was the offense got junked up in the red zone. The offense could not finish its drives effectively in the red zone. Sure, you won the game. You're happy with that. You're disappointed that really your 3 field goal opportunities all came where you should be turning those threes into sevens. And you made 2 of your 3 field goal opportunities. And so, yeah, would you be feeling better with the third field goal make? Yes, absolutely. But you're feeling even better with more efficient offense down the stretch, that turns into touchdowns. You wipe off the 6 points made, you swap it with 21 points made, and you have won the game in comfortable fashion. And yeah, you cover the spread. So, yeah, your boy Joe misses the cover for the second week in a row. I called Chattanooga to cover the plus margin, plus 45 a week ago. And I called Alabama to cover the 14. I missed 0 for 2 over the last 2 weeks. So, all right, we're about wrapping up. We're about ready to wrap up the day. Well, actually, shoot, we haven't talked any about Alabama basketball. What a weekend it was for Alabama basketball. Alabama basketball going 1-1 against Ohio State and Oregon in 2 different days. An absolutely awful, disgusting defense for Alabama basketball on Friday night. Down there in Destin or Niceville, wherever you want to call it. Absolutely awful defense against Ohio State. Letting Ohio State, they scored 92 points on Friday night and gave Alabama its first loss of the season. Alabama responded decently with a win over Oregon the next afternoon, right simultaneously as they were going on. Right, I had split screen. I had Alabama basketball on one screen and football Iron Bowl on the other. So yeah, you lost 92-81 to Ohio State, and then you won 99-91. You've got Clemson tomorrow night right here in Tuscaloosa. Tomorrow night, 8:30. Hope you guys can get into Coleman Coliseum as the ACC-SEC Challenge gets underway on Tuesday night. Look, here's the deal with Alabama basketball. You're 5 games into the you're 6 games into the season. You're 6 games into the season, and you have shown us that your offense is absolutely lethal. Lethal offense. But if you're not going to make shots, like maybe your night against Ohio State wasn't as good a night offensively, yeah, you still put up 81 points, which is nothing to slouch about. But you didn't shoot as well on Friday night against Ohio State, and you didn't defend worth a lick. And so you haven't really defended that well through the year. Only against South Alabama did you have a good defensive game. Going to have to get better on the defensive end. Going to have to rotate better. Going to have to close out better. You've got, you're still working in new players. You're still working in new players who are learning the system. I know you're working in freshman Sam Walters and Jaron Stevenson, two young guys who are probably not used to defending at this level. Obviously, the last time that they played defense, it didn't matter in high school. It didn't matter. Grant Nelson, he's playing okay. Estrada, he's still getting blown by a little bit. Mark Sears got blown by a little bit. Bruce Thornton for Ohio State tore Alabama a new one from the guard position. So you got to have better on-ball defending. It's going to be all about the defense, because through 6 games, I can tell you this Alabama offense is going to be something to want to watch all year long. If they play a lick of defense, then they might actually win something. If they don't play any defense like they have through 5 of the first 6 games, then it's going to be kind of a flip a coin kind of a season. And I will not enjoy that. You will probably not enjoy that either. We'll all get frustrated. We got to have better consistency on defense, better closing out, better attention to detail on defense, whether it's a knowledge issue. It didn't really look like an ability issue. It looked more like a knowledge and communication and a want to issue on Friday night against the Buckeyes. Now, what does it mean for the season? Still too early to say. Tuesday night tomorrow night against Clemson is going to be very important. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to tell you a decent amount. It'll tell you a little bit more. Look, you're going to learn a lot next week. Woo, doggy. Next week, Alabama takes on Purdue, Creighton, and Arizona. 3 games in a span of 11 days. And that's going to tell you a ton about the Tide that's coming up season. So we'll be covering all of it right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. Oh, and one more note on the weekend. Alabama women's basketball got a huge win over Louisville this past weekend, getting Christy Curry's first ranked win in an entire season. Unfortunately, the Alabama women did not beat a ranked team last year. They're already checking that off the checkbox this year early in the first, 2.5, 3 weeks of the season. Now, they lost to Gonzaga. I believe they won their last game of their little event over the Thanksgiving holiday. So, good little start for Alabama women. Obviously, an uphill battle when you're talking about competing with the LSUs, the South Carolinas, of the world. But taking steps forward, and we want to celebrate and support all the programs here at the Capstone on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com. So what will we do for the rest of the day? All right, I'm gonna have another show with an Alabama superfan who had a very viral reaction to the 4th and 31 play, and we'll talk Iron Bowl with him. We're also going to catch up. We'll reach out to Martin Houston. Martin Houston's going to join us at some point this week to talk Alabama football and more, SEC championship game and more. So we'll talk to Martin Houston. We'll, of course, have our Football Friday. We'll have our Football Friday on Friday, talking all kinds of SEC championship stuff. Woo! Tomorrow night's college football playoff poll, we didn't even talk about Ohio State losing. We didn't even talk about Florida State skating by. We didn't even talk about any of that stuff. Oregon winning their game against Oregon State. So we will talk about a lot of that tomorrow, how that plays out with the college football playoff poll. Obviously, Alabama and Clemson will play on Tuesday. We'll be all over that. On Thursday, I'm going to go up to Chattanooga again, go back to the hometown to watch Amari Jefferson. Future Alabama wide receiver, takes on the McCallie Tornadoes, my former high school, McCallie Big Blue Tornadoes, against the Baylor Red Raiders in the TSSAA state championship game. We will see how Amari Jefferson does on Thursday night. And then, of course, Friday, we will start getting ready we'll have Football Friday, and we'll be at the SEC championship game on Saturday. It's going to be a huge week. It's going to be a lot of fun this week. Stay with us. We already covered a lot of SEC championship stuff on BamaCentral.com. We heard from Kirby Smart earlier today. We heard from Kirby Smart yesterday. We heard from Nick Saban yesterday and today already. Players on both sides yesterday and today already. You can read about that on BamaCentral.com. Of course, we're the Sports Illustrated home for your Alabama Crimson Tide. So we've got you all covered right there with all of your Alabama needs. Make sure you follow us at BamaCentral on the X Machine, at Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated. Follow all our team, Austin Hannon _ Katie Wyndham at Katie Wyndham _ I am at Joe Gaither 6 on all of the social media machines. You can send me your comments, your questions, your queries, and complaints right there to any of the social media devices. Ooh, I can't wait. I'm having a haircut on Wednesday, so maybe if you are one of the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter watchers, you will see a fresh face on Thursday for our Thursday edition of the show. We're going to hopefully find a Georgia writer or podcaster or beat writer or someone who covers Georgia, somebody who's familiar with the Georgia Bulldogs, and we'll see if we can't get them on the show as well this week. We're going to have a great week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe to the show. Tell a friend about the show. Subscribe, rate, review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. We'll be back with another edition of the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.